Hey, good day. This is Greg Lewis, the City Manager of Lebanon, New Hampshire, welcoming you to Lebanon in Depth. Today marks our November month, and in this month there's some very exciting things going on in Lebanon. First of all, there is the work plan. We have presented a work plan in a draft form to the City Council, and we'll be talking about the work plan today. Now, these documents of a work plan means simply how we're going to go about the work that we need to perform on behalf of the public in our great city. The second aspect of this is the 2012 budget, which is the discussion of the 2012 budget. It's in a proposed form by myself, and that's being brought to the City Council this month for discussion. The budget book is on the website right now. A budget presentation that I've been working on will also be on the website, and you'll be able to watch it. We'll touch base on the budget today as well. Coming up in the wings, which we won't go into today, is the master plan. And the master plan is basically the product that's been worked on, all this information and data and all this participation by all the different members of the community. There were subcommittees, there was groups of people involved, there was individuals, extended a great amount of time toward putting together the information necessary for a master plan. That will also be coming to you very shortly. I want to make sure you understand that in the approach we're having, we're trying to link all these together. We're trying to connect all these together, and how we're doing this is, first of all, we're starting at the primary essence of a city. And what is the vision of a city? What's the preferred future of the city? What's the mission of the city? Under that mission, what values are we going to follow? What principles are we going to follow? Because, when you deal with such important items as a work plan to serve the citizens, or a budget in which we allocate who gets what, and how much, and when, and where, and when we talk about a plan for the next couple decades, it's important to start with a broad brush look at it. So we need to we need to stretch as a city and reach to a higher plane in the way we approach ourselves. Now, after we do these things, we need to come down to reality as to what's the purpose of what we're doing, and more importantly yet, what are the outcomes that the city of Lebanon should achieve? What should we produce as outcomes? What outcomes would help us in the community, all of us, in all our walks of lives? What outcomes would best serve the greater good? What would be the outcomes that would serve all of our citizens of Lebanon? Outcomes are in the ground. They're concrete. They're tangible. They're not rhetoric. They're actually things that happen. I'm going to start today with a little bit of description of the work plan for the city of Lebanon. This is a growing document. This is a document you can make comments to. You can go on our website and go to City Manager's site, and there's an opportunity to make comments and give feedback. You can go to our site we have where Leb Connect. You can go on and connect up and send an email to us. You can also always send an email to me, and that's just greg.lewis@lebcity.com. So please get involved in this process that's coming out. Watch the web. Look at the web page that I have, and do listen to Lebanon in Depth and our wonderful local CATV cable access television. With that in mind, I think we'll launch into some discussion about what a work plan is. And as I told you before, a work plan starts with a vision. And the vision that we have in this community at this point with the policy leaders in our city council is that the city of Lebanon, New Hampshire, is to be a sustainable community. So Lebanon and West Lebanon is to be sustainable communities. The desire for the future is that we must become a model for a balanced and desirable community, preserving its New England rural character, smartly managing its growth. We want to manage the growth and the urbanization. We know we're the hub of the Upper Valley, micropolitan area. That's a term of art. That we are a population center, and that we must meet the needs of the present, those that live here today, ourselves, without compromising the ability of future generations to meet their needs. That is a real wonderful high purpose. And great cities are created by ascribing to high purposes. Our role is to be a sustainable city government. And the government itself, we want to meet the needs of the present without compromising the ability of future generations to meet their needs. There's some wonderful city values that have been adopted by the City Council. We must first and foremost, we must act to benefit our current residents of the City of Lebanon. We got to be guided by the principles of a sustainable community. We got to develop our excellent planning capacity. We've got to act predictable and transparently, and we have to be accountable for our actions and evaluate our policies and our actions. That we need to be very cognizant and be good listeners when we do that. We're struggling and believing that data misdo it. Data is really facts. It's something that can be measured. We need to have that drive our decision making. We've got to inform and deliberate for the council to help make sure their deliberations and their discretion is informed, and we also have to support all our boards and all our committees. There's some difficult, challenging work going on there, and we have to support our boards and our committees and most of our council. These are tough times, and in this we have to have physical responsibility and restraint. We've got to be prudent, long-term stewards for the city. We got to protect the natural environment of the city and the character of our neighborhoods. So we have to have balance in what we do. Our priorities in doing our work plan is we want community access and engagement, and we have to improve that effort. We know we do. We're going to find new ways of engaging the public and achieving access for the community. We need to have those good conversations. We need to maintain the sense of the place of Lebanon and West Lebanon. And we got to be environmentally responsible and energy efficient. We have to use our smarts to be intelligent and coordinate development and transportation. You can see there's a lot of challenges in development and corporate and transportation in our community. We have to be economically vital. This is a really vibrant place, and part of our priorities is to achieve that economic vitality and maintain it. But again, we have to always remember to be fiscally responsible. And, we're right in the center of the Upper Valley, oftentimes called a hub. If we don't become the regional leaders in this community of this upper region of the valley, who will be? Will we have so many different types of leaders in our different types of communities that will always be kind of in a disarray, if we silo up? So there's got to be regional leadership, and Lebanon needs to hear a call for regional leadership and take on the mantle of being a regional leader. Now, my job as a city manager is no more important than anyone else's job. Each have a role, and we're all the same. We are all the people that live here in Lebanon have chosen to live here. My unique role and why it's important to have a city manager is we want to unify. We want to unify all the stakeholders and all of the partners in the Upper Valley. This means all the citizens, all the employees we have, all the persons that come here for commerce or come here to do their job, or come here for business purposes or for health reasons or for educational and learning reasons. We have to unify them all around the vision of becoming a sustainable community. And we've got to carry out that mission of being a sustainable city government to serve all these different stakeholders. But it's going to be within the values and priorities I've just previously enumerated. Why do we exist as the government in terms of getting unification? And that is to produce outcomes. We're here to produce outcomes, concrete things on the ground. All those outcomes will, in their totality, protect the health, safety, and welfare of our citizens. Now, specifically, what outcomes are we talking about? The outcomes that we are talking about is, first of all, citizen participation. We have an outcome that every citizen should participate in their government. And not because you have to or it's a burden. It is an opportunity. It is a kind of a precious thing. And participating in the city government is extremely important. The more people we can get participating, the stronger the government will be, the closer to the citizens the government will be, the more responsive, the better listening, the better conversations that'll take place. So that is an outcome that is extremely important to us. And we will, as these plans develop, that will be one of our driving forces, is to bring people into participation. We think we should be the best we could be, and that means if we're going to be a sustainable city, we should take the best practices of sustainability, and we should do what's necessary to try to emulate those best practices in all that we do here in Lebanon. We have examined all the record that was created for the master plan. Some really wonderful ideas by our local citizens and members of our different subcommittees in the planning board. We have also reached out to cities throughout the United States, in particular Washington, state of Washington, the state of Oregon, the state of Colorado, state of Minnesota, the state of Florida. We have taken some best models, best examples, the state of Minnesota, and we have taken what they have in terms of success stories, and we are now bringing them to bear into a work plan that we'll have. This work plan will take a while. The city wasn't created in a day, and we have a long history of the 250 years, and so we will have to work on this for the foreseeable future here. But each time we make an incremental improvement, it will all accumulate, and that the synergy of that will grow until we reach a threshold that will kind of spring forward into where we should be in this century, which is a tough way to begin a century, the way we're beginning it. We need to look at high quality environmental protection of all our natural resources, all the air, light, noise, water, wildlife, and land. We've got to tackle these things, and we've got to be energy efficient in all we do. We have to be a highly efficient, energy-wise city in all we do, and that we should do that both in the public sector, the private sector. We need to do it in the nonprofit sector. We need to all work together and be as efficient as we possibly can be. We need to do something about our systems of transportation. We need to develop those, and we know how diverse they are, but we've got to integrate them into systems. And they have to be multimodal corridors, roads, highways, gateways, trails, pathways. We got to look at our parking systems. You can see that as we go throughout the city in the different aspects of the city, where there's 12A or 120 or Highway 4 works its way in and out, all the exits on the interstate, all the Highway 10, all the challenges that we have to develop a very systemic approach to it. We have to have a very high quality land use management approach. We've got to look at how we use land, and we need to look at our zoning, whether it's protecting all it needs protected in terms of the property rights of our individual citizens and the public rights and the interests the public has. We've got to look at managing our environmental services and make sure we have regulations that coordinate and guide development. Development is all about distribution of who bears the burden for the development. The developer, the citizens, the neighborhoods, the locations in the city where they're going to be. Everything has a ripple, and every ripple has a cost. And so in terms of our management, we have to make sure there is a balance. There's an opportunity, and that the driving force behind that is to protect the public, to protect from undue imposition of property tax, and yet at the same time help and support development that's moving forward in an appropriate way with good balance and commitment to the community. Again, everything we do is about looking at this from a vitality point of view. We are a regionally economic vital hub. We need a place that's devoted to commerce and innovation and entrepreneurship. And these downtowns we have in West Lebanon and Lebanon, those are wonderful places that need to be nurtured and need to be revitalized, where we have some challenges. We need to do those things so that the core that we have of the city becomes basically the essence of a high-quality city. Someone described it as being a cool community, and I've written in my blog, you should check my blog out once in a while on the website, about being a cool community. But I definitely think we should be a cool community. As has been mentioned in the values, part of the work plan is going to be frugal financial stewardship throughout. We have limited resources. We know the residents here are there's tough times. And we have to be respectful of that. We have to be respectful imposition of the property tax. This is very important to us to manage our money well. We need to be all this together. Collaboration throughout the region on the public, private for profit, private for nonprofit. All these things would come together. Now, under every outcome, there is just a myriad of actions to be taken. And every action to be taken, we want an indicator that's measurable that the action is indeed taken and is documented. So you walk the talk. You just don't describe these things as I've described them and say, okay, that's all fine and dandy. But really, what is happening on the ground? How did we improve on the ground the streets that you utilize? How do we preserve and protect and make sure the water you use is good quality water? How do we make sure sanitation is taken care of in a good, safe, and sound condition? How do we make sure that if someone wants to come and do a development here, they're able to do that and do it in a very effective and efficient manner, yet be a very balanced manner, so that the cost entailed out of a development is protected from being unduly burdened on to the property tax system? We need this excellence of planning, and these are the things that we need to achieve. Now, we're coming up to the budget. And as I kind of transition from talking about the work plan to the budget isn't an abstract thing. Why do you do budgeting? The budgeting is only to decide how are you going to achieve the outcomes that are the best for the community, and how are you going to allocate resources to those outcomes, and how are you going to have that balance between the cost and the benefits with regard to outcomes. Are they affordable to citizens? Are citizens willing for these outcomes to be created and produced? These are kind of the heart of the budgeting process, that balancing part. The budget that's coming before you in this month of November, and will be adopted in the month of December, is laid out. And first we have a budget schedule. And the budget schedule that's laid out here is I'm going to present the budget. I'll be presenting it, may have presented by the time you hear this show, on Monday, November 7th. And I'll provide an overview of our 2012 budget that night. Then we'll have a question and answer session on Wednesday, November 9th. And we'll have a question and answer session for each of the departments where they'll sit at the table with me and we'll address the council and be responsible and accountable to the council to have a conversation and provide the information they need or find out the information they need. And the citizens can hear this dialogue by watching the CATV broadcast of these sessions. And we'll also try to make sure all these sessions that we have, that I bring them back to the TV show and we talk about them. So there's very clear understanding on part of the citizens about what this budget is about. Following those question and answer sessions, if they're not all answered on the night of Wednesday, November 9th, then Tuesday, November 22nd, there'll be a continuation of the question and answer sessions. We're also inviting any organization the city funds to be available for question and answers on the night of Tuesday, November 22nd. Then on the 29th, we're going to go into what is called the Capital Improvement Plan. We'll have some discussions about the CSO project. There'll be a session trying to define and understand the CSO and what the past has been, the present is, and what the future might be with this program under the CSO program, which is mandated through a federal order, a consent order with regard to separation of stormwater and sewer. There'll also be some discussion that night about some safety issues at the airport and some sheltering issues of equipment at the airport. There will be some further discussion of some of the projects that will be needed at the water plant and at the sewer plant. So following that in December, there will be a public hearing and action to adopt the 2012 budget on December 21st. Now December 21st, remember that. Now in this month of November, this is a good time to send emails to the city, talking to the council. Use the Leb connection that's on the website. Please send your thoughts, your best comments. Now the budget itself and what it looks like right now. Remember, we've been working on this thing for some time. We have been working on it since going back in April. And there was a lot of work done by our departments in the month of July and into August. And then the city manager and the finance department, led by Lynn Jarvie, our financial director, we went through line by line every line in the budget. When we started out, the budget increase for our municipal tax levy in Lebanon was something around 5.9%. When we finished and we filed this week, it is the municipal tax rate would increase 1.1%. So we worked long and hard to bring that down. Now this product of the budget will be reviewed by the council, and the council will look and see what their evaluation is as the budget, and they can make changes, and right up until that last meeting there in December. There's some important changes in the budget because the resources here, with the downshifting of costs from the state and with the continuing cost of living charges that show up in different parts of the budget, such as collective bargaining, also the cost of energy, the cost of retirement benefits, the cost of materials, necessitated that we make some reductions. So we have to shrink some of the sizes of some of our core services. So what happened in that situation, really the city operates pretty much, its costs are based on its human resources, its employees. Because we're a people place, we're a people organization, and that's what we do, people providing services. So we had to reduce some of the costs we had in those areas, which means we're basically shrinking our structure in providing services. And in that shrinking of those services, the police department was shrunk by 106,000. The fire department was shrunk by 81,000. The planning and zoning department was shrunk by 92,000. The recreation department was shrunk by 37,000, close to 38. The human services agencies that we fund, which are mostly our nonprofits, our nonprofit human services, the total of all of them was shrunk by 36,700, about close to 37,000. Advanced Transit, there was a reduction in their programming in this budget by about 36,700. So in some of the business lines we have, there's the shrinkage for those were up around the 37,000. In the larger core services, it became a range from the 80 to 106,000. We also shrunk the Public Works Department, our core service there, by 88,000. The library was shrunk by 76,700. Now that's close to 77,000. So these are not insignificant reductions. These are significant reductions that were made, but only after careful analysis and in terms of what we could do and to try to live within the means we have and try not to overdo the burden on the taxpayers in the city and yet preserve the services. Now, when we look into the budget a little bit, we talk about, well, where are these property taxes going? Well, if you look at your tax bills, what you'll see is you're going to see that in your tax bill, about 46% of that is going toward the school. You're also going to see that that in terms of municipal costs on your tax bill, it's about 38%. School state proportion about 10%. So altogether, you're going to have over close to 56% going towards schools. County's about 6%. So you recently see, I think they saw, some significant continued demands on school for school needs, and you could see that going on. Where does the money come from for all this? In New Hampshire, it's basically most of it's coming from property tax. The property taxes we have produce some $18 million. New Hampshire is a state that adopted that it was going to fund its government by property tax. So the other types of costs are mostly charges for some services the city does. Debt service, how we have to fund our capital improvements is another very significant piece. Now, where the money goes back, most of the money is going back to the general operations, which are the core services of the city, which is public works, police, fire, then our business lines for library, business lines for recreation, business lines for human services. A great deal goes to capital improvements because the CSO project is a very significant project. The budget outcomes we work at, which I talked about earlier in the work plan, we're going to take the dollars that are provided by the tax system, and we're going to promote public safety. That's an outcome. Public safety is extremely important. We are going to work toward economic vitality and supporting it. That's very important. It needs all the things we do. It needs all the public work infrastructure, the water, sewer, and it needs all that. We have to have excellent planning. And so excellent planning is a very important point. It also be going to make sure we do all the management of the city, that we have a very well-managed city. Finally, it's going to help and support the proposition that all our families and individuals should be self-sufficient and be able to have enough resources to live on. Just basic human values. All that goes together, and the outcome we want to finally, overall, make sure we're paying for with this budget is a sustainable community with a sense of place, environmental responsibility, energy efficiency, health and well city, and a cultural and learning center in the city. At this budget presentation, we're going to cover each of the circles that I just mentioned. What we're going to do with this is a beginning. After the budget has gone through the process, got all the good input from you all, it'll be processed on through. We're going to have these outcomes I'm talking about are going to be reviewed by the City Council on a regular basis, probably the first part of next year. Our citywide strategic planning is going on. That master plan will be out, and I'll be talking to you about the master plan at our next meeting. We're going to take all this information. Our department heads are all doing business plans. I have a business plan, the city manager, and we're going to perform and produce outcomes. That's what we're about, and we think that this is the way to approach the 21st century city. A mouthful, but it's the only way to be a sustainable community in a time like this. So as I close today, I hope you pay attention and I invite you to get engaged in the conversation about the budget, about the work plan, about the outcomes. These outcomes are very important to you and your families and your friends and your neighbors, and I'd like to get you involved in that. I hope you look at our website. I hope you come to the city manager's webpage and you look at the blog. There's a Twitter thing going on there that I do. These Lebanon in Depth shows that we offer here, this will be on there as well. So we look forward to serving you, and this month of November will be an important one, and we hope you get involved. Thank you very much, and God bless the city of Lebanon. Thank you.